Welcome to the Inner Ascent, a journey beyond the surface. Each week, we distill powerful insights in mindset, health, personal evolution, and conscious growth. Unlock the layers of your mind, one ascent at a time.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to plunge right into some truly captivating, sometimes really perplexing topics and give you the insights you need to be genuinely well-informed.
That's the goal.
And today, wow, we're diving into one of the most, I think, intriguing scientific mysteries, certainly the last few decades. It's the story of Jacobo Grinberg, a visionary Mexican scientist, a real pioneer. He wasn't afraid to explore the deepest questions about consciousness, about reality itself, and he documented it all meticulously.
Yeah, incredibly detailed work.
And then he just vanished. December 1994, poof, gone without a trace, leaving behind this incredible legacy, groundbreaking, definitely controversial, but just undeniably fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. Grinberg, he wasn't someone content with, let's say, the status quo, the conventional wisdom. His research, it fundamentally challenged how most of us even think about reality.
Right.
He was just driven by this intense curiosity, to uncover the secrets of the mind, its connection to the universe, its profound connection.
So his big idea, basically, was that our brains aren't just recording things, like cameras.
Exactly. Not passive observers. He saw them as active creators. We're actually generating what we perceive as reality.
Yeah, that's a big leap.
It is. So in this deep dive, we're really going to unpack his Syntergic Theory, which sounds complex, but we'll break it down. Then we'll get into his studies with the shaman Pachita, which are just almost unbelievable.
Oh, I've read bits about that. Incredible.
And then, importantly, we'll look at the practical side, the mental techniques he developed, inspired by all this research, techniques he thought could potentially unlock what he called a super genius mind in anyone, in you.
And the fact that he disappeared, it just hangs over everything, doesn't it? It adds this layer of mystery. Makes you wonder, what did he really find? Was it something someone didn't want out there?
It certainly fuels the speculation.
Definitely. So our mission today is to unpack all these complex ideas, pull out the key takeaways, and really understand the what, when, how, and for what of Grinberg's techniques. We want to give you that shortcut to being truly informed about this fascinating, really enigmatic figure. Okay, let's get into it.
Right. So at the absolute core of Jacobo Grinberg's work is his Syntergic Theory. And this is where things get, pretty radical. It really asks you to shift your whole perspective on reality.
Okay, lay it on us.
Grinberg proposed that reality isn't this objective thing out there existing separate from us. No. He argued it's a direct projection of our own internal mental field. He called it the neuronal field.
Neuronal field, okay.
Yeah. So basically, the world you experience, the one you're living in right now, it's fundamentally shaped, constructed even, by the structure and the activity of your own mind.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge departure from how we usually think. We're taught, brain sees world, brain records world. Simple.
Exactly. We think of it like a camera, right? Passively observing. But Grinberg flipped that completely. He said the brain is an active creator.
So we're not just watching the movie.
We're co-writing it, directing it, designing the set, all in real time. So the key thing isn't just that our brains interpret reality, they actively construct it.
Which means my internal state, how I'm thinking and feeling, isn't just internal. It actually influences what I perceive as real.
That's the core of it, yes.
Yeah.
And central to this whole idea is something he called the primary matrix.
The primary matrix. Sounds very sci-fi.
It does a bit, but think of it less like a physical place and more like a hidden fundamental field. Pure energy and information underlying everything we see and touch.
Okay. Like a deeper level of reality.
Exactly. It's not something you can measure with normal instruments. Imagine like an infinite web of pure potential stretching across the whole universe.
Pure potential.
Yeah, containing every possible reality, every experience, every bit of information that could ever exist. Just waiting for consciousness to interact with it, to bring it into being. Like a cosmic ocean of raw data, ready to be shaped.
Okay, that's a mind-bending concept, an infinite field of all possibilities.
Yeah.
So how do we as individuals tap into that? How do we interact with something so vast and invisible?
Ah, that's where Grinberg gets specific. He said the key mechanism is a pattern of electrical impulses in our brains, or neural activity.
Brain waves and stuff.
Essentially, yes, the complex dynamic patterns. Through this activity, our brains connect directly, continuously with that primary matrix.
Okay.
And it's this connection, this interplay, that allows us to shape that raw potential, that undifferentiated information, into the tangible experience we call reality.
Right.
And what's really fascinating is he suggested this constant back and forth could explain things science often dismisses,
No.
like sudden intuition, bursts of creativity, or those weirdly meaningful coincidences, synchronicity.
So those aren't just random. They're glimpses of this connection.
That's what Grinberg hinted at. Like we're momentarily consciously tuning in to this fundamental field, our neuronal field interacting with the matrix.
It's like our brains are decoding potential into experience. And this decoding, it even affects how we see basic things like space and matter. He had a radical idea about that too, right?
Oh, absolutely. A really provocative idea. He argued that the difference we see between, say, empty space and solid matter, that's actually a product of our brain activity.
Wait, what? How?
He said space isn't empty. It contains potential matter at every single point. What we call matter, like this table or a rock that's just a specific organization of space, a configuration within the matrix that our human brain can decode. It reduces it to a kind of neural algorithm.
So a solid object is like a dense pocket of space that our brain has the right software to read as solid. Is that a way to put it?
That's a really good analogy, yeah. Think of the matrix like a complex data stream. Your brain has apps that render certain patterns as solid objects. And transparency, what we see is empty space. The air, the cosmos, that's an organization of space, so incredibly complex, so multifaceted, that our brains can't currently decode it into a solid form.
Wow.
So the solid-empty distinction isn't inherent out there. It's a product of how our brains process the information. Our perception isn't just seeing, it's actively creating that distinction based on our processing capacity.
That is genuinely mind-blowing. So empty space is full of information, just too complex for us to grasp as solid.
Incredibly rich, yeah. That was his view. But our brains aren't just doing this alone in isolation. He talked about a larger network, right? A shared consciousness.
Yes, exactly. He elaborated on this idea of neural fields. He said the interactions within our individual brains create these fields, and they aren't stuck inside our skulls.
They extend outward.
Yeah, they extend out, subtly affecting the structure of space itself. They act as a way for information to transmit, literally from brain to brain.
Yeah.
Like telepathy, almost.
Kind of, yeah. It implies we're all constantly interacting, sharing information, influencing each other, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
Okay.
And these collective neural fields, all interacting together, form what he called the hyperfield.
The hyperfield.
Think of it like a vast, interconnected web of all human consciousness, constantly influencing and being influenced by every individual mind, like a sort of global information network.
So if I'm getting this right, we're all part of this giant, invisible, interconnected brain. Our thoughts, feelings, intentions, they're rippling out, touching others, shaping the collective. That's huge.
That is precisely the implication, yes. This hyperfield is the living sum of all interacting neural fields. And Grinberg took this even further with his idea of the lattice of space-time.
Okay, the lattice now. So many layers.
Yeah. He saw the fundamental structure of space not as empty, but as this hyper-complex, super-coherent, perfectly symmetrical energy network.
A matrix.
Like a grid. Sort of, but vastly more complex. And he proposed that elementary particles, the basic building blocks of matter, they're just local disturbances, temporary disorganizations in this otherwise perfect lattice.
So matter isn't really solid. It's just a ripple.
A specific temporary ripple or distortion in the fabric of reality. A transient pattern in this underlying energy network.
Yeah, that completely reframes everything.
It does. And within his theory, experience itself isn't passive. It's the direct, ongoing interaction of our neuronal field with this space-time lattice, a constant creation and interpretation.
Right.
Which brings us to another crucial concept, orbitals of consciousness.
Orbitals of consciousness. Like electrons.
Kind of analogous, yeah. He described them as discrete, congruent levels or bands within this whole neuronal field lattice interaction. Imagine different frequencies on a radio dial.
Okay.
Each frequency is a distinct state or level of consciousness that our neuronal field can tune into and interact with. And this idea is absolutely vital when we talk about Pachita, especially the brother Quatamok thing. It suggests consciousness isn't just one thing stuck in one brain. It can exist and interact on different levels, different bands within this universal lattice.
It sounds like our consciousness can tune into different dimensions almost.
Yeah.
And if we can tune in, can we reach a higher state? Something he called unity consciousness, where we actually shape reality.
Exactly. Unity consciousness. He saw it as this profound transformative state. You achieve it by increasing inter- and transhemispheric coherence in the brain, meaning the two halves of your brain and different areas within them start working together in perfect sync, in harmony. When that happens, your individual neuronal field can actually start to mimic the fundamental structure of the lattice itself. It aligns with it.
And then what happens?
In that state of unity, the ego, our usual sense of being a separate self, it dissolves, and the individual becomes, in Grinberg's words, a king of creation.
Wow, king of creation.
Capable of modifying reality directly from its source, from the primary matrix.
Yeah.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, it really makes you ask, what happens to your sense of self if the ego dissolves? Is it lost? Or is it an expansion into something way bigger?
That's a deep question.
And what does it really mean for our potential to influence the world? Could our most powerful creative abilities be locked behind accessing this state?
It challenges our whole definition of self, our place in things. And what's amazing is these ideas, radical as they sound, they actually echo other thinkers, right? They're not totally isolated.
Not at all. They resonate strongly with people like David Bohm and his implicate order theory. Bohm saw space as this holographic sea of potentialities, like Grinberg's matrix.
Right, I've heard of Bohm.
And then there's panpsychism, the idea that consciousness isn't just in brains, but is a fundamental property of the cosmos. That's gaining traction. Plus, we now know about neurons in the heart, the gut.
The gut brain, yeah.
Right. It suggests our sensory network, our way of interacting with reality, is way more complex than just the brain. It fits Grinberg's holistic view.
It really does bridge that gap between mysticism and science.
Yeah.
Okay, so from these huge theories, Grinberg then dives deep into Mexican shamanism. He was looking for native psychology, right? Trying to recover original wisdom.
Exactly. He felt conventional science dismissed so much valuable knowledge as just, quackery. He traveled all over Mexico, interviewed tons of healers, but one really stood out. Barbara Guerrero, known as Pachita.
Pachita. Tell us about her.
Well, she was quite a character even before Grinberg met her, lived an incredible life, fought in the Mexican Revolution, worked all sorts of jobs, lottery seller, taxi driver, apparently even some less legal activities in her youth. But she ended up in Mexico City, and her healing methods were just extraordinary. Miraculous, some would say. That's what drew Grinberg in.
He was skeptical at first, though, since he'd debunked fakes before.
Very skeptical, understandably. He wanted to apply real scientific rigor. But his very first meeting with her, well, it wasn't exactly standard protocol.
How'd that happen?
He just showed up at her house unannounced. Before he could even knock, this deep, masculine voice booms from inside. "Jacobo, hurry up. Why are you coming so late? I was waiting for you."
Whoa. She knew him, knew he was coming.
Apparently, that immediate recognition, like she knew his purpose, it must have just floored him, set the tone completely for what he was about to witness. It hinted right away at this extraordinary awareness she had.
Yeah, no kidding. So what did he witness? He became her assistant, right? Recorded everything.
Meticulously. And what he documented was, well, astonishing. It just defied biology, physics, everything. Pachita performed these operations in her home, often dimly lit, using only a simple hunting knife.
A hunting knife, seriously.
Seriously. She'd apparently open patients' bodies, take out damaged organs, and then, this is the incredible part, materialize new, healthy organs out of thin air.
Materialize them, conjure them.
That's how Grinberg described it. Appearing from nothingness, she called them contributions, and she'd put these new organs in, and crucially, she never charged any money. Purely compassion.
That's incredible. Who are her patients?
She was selective, but influential people came artists, intellectuals like Alejandro Jodorowsky, the filmmaker, all seeking her healing.
Okay, materialize organs. That sounds literally impossible.
Yeah.
Did Grinberg provide, detailed accounts, or was it more anecdotal?
Oh, incredibly detailed, almost clinical descriptions.
Yeah.
You can feel his scientific astonishment in the writing. He saw it happen repeatedly, a kidney, a liver, even what he recorded as a brain transplant.
A brain transplant. With a hunting knife.
According to his published accounts, yes. He tells this story of a child deemed a vegetable after an anesthesia overdose, unresponsive. After multiple brain operations by Pachita, the child started smiling, moving. recovering.
And it's unbelievable.
Grinberg described seeing a terrible incision, lots of blood, just like real surgery, then the materialized organs appearing, going into the body, and the wound closing instantly. No scar.
Instantly. No stitches.
No stitches. He said it felt like a dream, but the blood, the tissue, it was all real. He wrote about the wound just knitting itself closed, as if something non-physical was directing the biology.
And he wasn't just watching, he was participating, holding cotton, seeing the blood.
Right there in the middle of it, feeling it, smelling it, constantly having his scientific worldview challenged moment by moment.
Wow. And it wasn't just organs. She could materialize other things, too.
Yes, objects. Apports, she called them, like a sculpted metal, a small statue, appearing seemingly from nowhere, often after these strange, trance-like hand movements.
How did Grinberg explain that?
He theorized her brain could directly alter the morphology of space itself, manipulate the structure of reality. He connected it back to his Syntergic Theory, like how particles pop out of the quantum lattice, but on a macroscopic scale. She was literally manipulating the fabric of reality.
And not just small things. She could influence the weather, too.
He documented that as well, yeah. Equally startling for him as a scientist, he observed her ending droughts, bringing rain, and conversely, causing floods, making rivers overflow, all under his direct observation.
Okay, this is beyond anything. How did she do it? Was it her, consciously, or something else?
That's the key. Grinberg was clear. Pachita herself wasn't consciously aware during the operations. He described it as a state of possession.
Possession. By who?
The spirit of Brother Cuauhtémoc, the last Aztec emperor. That's who they said it was. When Cuauhtémoc took over, her whole demeanor changed. Gentlewoman becomes this powerful presence, deep masculine voice, performs these complex procedures. Pachita was the medium, the link.
So the Cuauhtémoc's consciousness operating through her body.
That's the phenomenon he documented. And for Grinberg, this was a real-world example of his orbitals of consciousness theory.
Ah, the different frequency bands.
Exactly. He thought Pachita's neuronal field could tune into and interact congruently with that specific band of the lattice identified as Cuauhtémoc. It implies consciousness isn't just stuck in one brain.
That's a huge implication.
Yeah.
Consciousness existing outside the individual.
And it went further. Pachita, or rather Cuauhtémoc through Pachita, could apparently decode the hyperfield, perceive the state of planetary consciousness.
Planetary consciousness, like a global mood.
Something like that. A collective energetic blueprint. And they claim to perform planetary missions to modify this hyperfield, affecting individual and collective awareness globally.
Wow. So again, it makes you wonder, if our minds are all connected in this hyperfield, how much do our own thoughts and feelings ripple out? What's the collective impact?
A profound question Grinberg's work forces you to ask.
Yeah. Beyond the big surgeries and planetary stuff, Pachita also dealt with something more common in shamanism.
Danos.
Damages
Yeah.
or injuries. It's the idea that illnesses or misfortunes can be caused by negative energetic charges, often from envy, bad intentions, unresolved stuff manifesting energetically.
Like psychic attacks. Sort of. Shamans like Pachita diagnose and remove these damaged energies, which might be causing physical problems or just bad luck. Grinberg saw her remove a Dano from someone that literally looked like a snake. A physical manifestation of negative energy being expelled.
Seriously, like a physical snake.
That's what he wrote. And again, he wasn't just watching, he was assisting.
How? What did he do?
He described being told to put alcohol-soaked cotton on the incisions, then press his hands firmly over it. Pachita told him to saturate the wound with his energy and intention.
Yeah.
And he saw the wounds close almost instantly, knitting together right before his eyes, no stitches needed. He felt this distinct transfer of energy into the patient. It suggested healing based on intention, on energy, not just biology.
That's incredible. But it wasn't all miracles and energy work. She used regular remedies, too.
She did, yeah. Which is interesting. Alongside the impossible stuff, she'd prescribe herbal remedies, folk cures. Like, he noted her telling diabetics to drink water with rusty nails in it.
Rusty nails.
Yeah. Believed to help balance them, apparently. A traditional remedy. It showed this blend, the miraculous alongside practical, centuries-old folk wisdom. A truly holistic approach.
So Grinberg sees all this seemingly impossible stuff with Pachita.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to his lab at UNAM to try and, replicate it, understand it scientifically.
Bridge the gap, exactly. He wanted to study transfer potential brain-to-brain correlations scientifically. to investigate the phenomena he saw with Pachita using rigorous methods, understand the mechanism.
And his most famous experiments were the telepathy ones, right? Finding that brain synchrony.
Absolutely. Those were really boundary pushing. He'd take pairs of people, have them meditate together, or just connect deeply until they felt really in sync.
Okay.
Then he'd separate them, put them in different rooms, sometimes miles apart, soundproof, shielded rooms, hook them both up to EEGs to measure brain activity. Then, one person, the receiver, would be exposed to a stimulus, a flash of light, a sound, an image, and Grinberg found that the other person's brain, the transmitter, showed synchronized activity at the exact same moment.
Whoa, even miles apart, with no way to communicate.
Exactly. Instantaneous brain synchrony. Evoked potentials in the EEG readings matching up. It defied conventional explanations.
How could that even happen?
Well, for Grinberg, it pointed straight back to his Syntergic Theory. Consciousness isn't just in the brain. It's a non-local field. We're all connected through the primary matrix.
Like a cosmic internet.
Pretty much. Information travels instantaneously through this field, bypassing space and time. It provides a potential scientific basis for telepathy. It suggests it's not if it's possible, but maybe how often we're subtly experiencing it without realizing.
So those gut feelings, thinking of someone and they call, maybe they're real glimpses of this connection.
That's what his work suggests, yeah. And he also looked at shared intention, right? Groups focusing together.
Yes, he did experiments with that too. Small groups focusing intensely on one idea, image, feeling, goal.
And what happened?
He saw measurable shifts in their collective brain activity when they were really aligned. And interestingly, participants often reported more synchronicities, meaningful coincidences in their lives afterwards related to that shared intention. So focus group thought might actually influence the matrix, influence reality.
That was the tantalizing possibility his research pointed towards, the power of collective consciousness.
Which brings us back to that core idea. The observer shapes reality. Your mind shapes your world.
Exactly. He deeply believed that. What you fundamentally believe about the world literally shapes the world you experience. And he noted how this idea pops up everywhere. Ancient wisdom like, as above, so below, Buddhist ideas about the mind-dependent nature of reality.
And modern neuroscience supports it too, right? The brain filling gaps, making predictions.
Increasingly so. We know the brain actively constructs our perception based on expectations and beliefs. It's not just passive recording.
But Grinberg took it further. Not just interpreting reality, but actually shaping it.
Yes. That was the radical step. By consciously tuning into the primary matrix, he thought we could not only see reality more clearly, but actively shape it in ways we don't yet understand.
So could focused thought, meditation, intention, could it really let us tap into that universal field and influence the physical world?
That's the profound question he forces us to ask. He was trying to build that bridge between rigorous science and mysticism, suggesting the line between them might be thinner than we think.
And what's really exciting for us, for the listeners, is that he didn't just theorize. He believed genius wasn't just luck of the draw, it was trainable.
Right, not fixed or inherited. He saw it as a process, a system for operating your mind that anyone could develop. Applied neuroscience, not some magic gift.
Which challenges that whole fixed mindset idea.
Completely. And like Einstein or Tesla, Grinberg found traditional education lacking. He felt it trained people for obedience, not critical thinking or creativity, molded minds into mediocre patterns, as he put it. He offered a way out.
So how do we do it? How do we activate this super genius mind? He had a specific protocol, right? Hypervisualization.
Yes.
Okay.
A very specific step-by-step process. It's not just daydreaming, it's intense mental reprogramming. Let's break it down.
Okay, step one.
Step one, conscious awakening. Every single morning, before the phone, before coffee, ask your mind a deeply challenging, open-ended question.
Like what?
Something that really grabs you. What idea can change my life today? Or what problem am I ignoring that needs solving now? Or how can I 10x my impact in X area?
Yeah, okay.
The goal isn't an instant answer. It's to activate an inner search for solutions. You're basically giving your subconscious a directive that runs all day long, scanning information, looking for connections.
Programming your subconscious first thing.
Yeah.
Powerful. What's next?
Immediately after. Step 2, intense mental simulation. This is the real hypervisualization. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and vividly project the problem or goal into your mind.
Vividly how?
Live it internally. See it, feel it, hear it. See yourself executing perfectly. Face obstacles in your mind and see yourself adapting, finding solutions with total clarity. Grinberg said this turns your mind into a laboratory of experiences. Why? Because the brain doesn't distinguish intense imagination from reality.
Right, we talked about that.
The more real the simulation, the more your brain believes it's happening, priming you for actual success.
So it's deep mental rehearsal.
Yeah.
Got it. Then comes information gathering.
Step 3, genuine information dive. At least 20 minutes a day, consistently. Dive deep into your topic of interest related to your question. But here's the secret. Seek diverse sources, opposing views, contradictions.
Why opposing views?
Because it forces your brain to connect the seemingly unconnected, to synthesize different ideas. That's crucial for transformative thinking. It builds new neural pathways. You move beyond just confirming what you already think.
Makes sense. Build a truly broad understanding. What's step 4?
Step 4, verbalize your learning. Sounds simple, but it's huge. Articulate what you learned out loud. Explain it as if teaching someone.
Even if no one's there.
Even if you're talking to the wall. The act of teaching forces you to organize the knowledge internally. It solidifies reasoning, turns data into wisdom. You immediately spot gaps in your understanding.
Right, you have to make it make sense to explain it. Okay, step 5, exponential thinking.
Yes. This is a daily mental challenge. For any problem, project, idea, ask, how can this be 10 times better? Not 10%, 10 times.
How do you even begin to think like that?
Force yourself. Imagine unlimited resources, time, money, help. It breaks linear thinking, trains your mind to think like an inventor, not just an executor, pushes you way beyond normal limits to find truly innovative solutions.
Thinking without the usual mental handcuffs. I like that.
Yeah.
But these all require discipline. What about mental laziness, procrastination?
That's step 6, maybe the most vital. Consistency and action. Grinberg knew laziness would hit. When it does, act immediately. No rationalizing, no negotiating.
Let us push through.
Affirm. My mind was made for challenges. I do the difficult, and then this is key. Take the very next small step, whatever it is.
Small step.
Yeah. Grinberg believed genius isn't built on huge leaps, but on unwavering consistency in responding to challenges, even tiny ones. It builds mental discipline over time. Consistency compounds.
So it's about building these habits until they become automatic, your default mode. But how do you sustain it long term? Make it a way of life.
It starts with shifting your view of thinking itself. Abandon the idea it's just a task you do sometimes. Cultivate an analytical presence. Your mind is on all the time.
Always analyzing. Sounds tiring.
Not necessarily stressful. It means seeing every conversation, every situation, every news item as data, an opportunity to question, analyze patterns, spot flaws, propose improvements, connect ideas. Thinking becomes how you are, not just what you do.
Okay, a continuous engagement.
Exactly. And never be satisfied with surface answers. Dig deeper. Always ask, what's the pattern here? Who benefits? How does this connect to something seemingly unrelated? That transforms data into wisdom. You become a master synthesizer.
Going beyond just knowing facts, but you have to believe you can keep growing, right?
Absolutely crucial. Step 7, maybe? Belief in mental plasticity. Actively cultivate the belief your intelligence has no fixed limit. Neuroscience backs this up. The brain can change throughout life.
So affirmations help.
Yes. Reinforce it daily. My mind is evolving now. Every challenge makes me smarter. I'm expanding my capacity. Program your subconscious for growth.
And think long term.
Definitely. Adopt a long-term vision, 5 years, 10 years. Great geniuses thought in decades. Visualize the skills you'll gain, the impact you'll have with consistent training. It changes your perspective on daily effort.
And finally, protect your mind.
Yes, protect your mental temple. Be intentional. Guard against empty distractions, shallow content, conversations that drain you or bring negativity. Recognize the mind you're building is precious. Don't contaminate it with noise.
It's about making high-level thinking your essence.
Exactly. And Grinberg added a crucial element: humility. True wisdom, he felt, comes when you realize you're not the sole creator, but a channel for a greater intelligence. Genius without humility risks collapse. Power comes from alignment, not ego.
Wow, that's a powerful framework for transformation. It really puts the responsibility and the potential back on you, the listener. What reality will you choose to manifest?
It truly does. But Grinberg's legacy, all this incredible work, it's impossible to discuss without addressing the elephant in the room, his disappearance.
Right. December 1994. Vanished. Still unsolved. It just hangs there.
Initial inquiries focused on his wife, Teresa Mendoza. She said he'd just gone on one of his usual spontaneous trips.
Which he was known for, right? Just
Yeah.
taking off for research or retreats.
He was, which definitely complicated things early on, made it ambiguous.
But then she disappeared too.
Yeah. Sometime later, she vanished as well, never seen again. That obviously ramped up the intrigue and suspicion hugely.
What did the authorities do?
His half-brother, the actor Ari Telch, said they eventually closed the case. Lack of leads. And this whole situation, the mystery, it's honestly generated more headlines than his actual scientific work sometimes.
Right.
Led to this web of conspiracy theories.
And the biggest one involves the CIA. That seems to be the persistent theory.
It's the most widely discussed, yeah. The speculation is that his wife, Teresa, was actually a covert agent, maybe CIA. Her mission was to infiltrate his work, monitor his discoveries.
Why? Because they were dangerous.
That's the theory, that the CIA abducted Grinberg to keep his research, Syntergic Theory, brain synchrony, reality manipulation secret. Because knowledge like that could be massively disruptive to everything, national security included.
And the wife vanished after possibly stealing his work.
That's part of the narrative. Erasing the link. It's compelling, makes a good story. Implies his ideas were so revolutionary they cost him his freedom, maybe his life. He was silenced.
Too profound, too paradigm-shifting for the powers that be. But there are other stranger stories about Grinberg, too, aren't there? Things that paint a different picture.
Oh, yeah. There are these anecdotes. You have to take them with a grain of salt, maybe, but they're part of the lore. Some sources say he believed he traveled to ancient Rome with a time-traveling alien.
Too seriously.
Who he thought were the real rulers of reality. Then there are claims of an amphetamine addiction, maybe fueling his prolific writing like 60 pages a day.
Wow.
And that he used drugs to quieten a giant head in the sky that constantly screamed at him. Also talk of him receiving information via a pink beam of light.
Okay, that's definitely out there. It paints a picture of someone maybe operating right on the edge of perception, or maybe struggling. Adds complexity, for sure.
Absolutely. Makes him a much more enigmatic, complex figure than just an academic. And remember his tendency for spontaneous trips that always makes tracing someone harder.
Were there other theories? Less exotic ones?
Briefly mentioned, yeah. Running into trouble with cartels, maybe? Eloping due to affairs? Less evidence for those seems more speculative. The truth could be anything, really. Mundane or extraordinary.
A true multi-layered mystery. But despite the sensationalism around his disappearance, his ideas, his actual work, it refuses to fade away. It keeps resonating.
It does, which makes you wonder, what secrets are still hidden in that web of connections he was exploring? Will we ever know what happened to him?
His work really challenges us, doesn't it? To rethink what it means to be human, to rethink reality itself as something fluid connected to our consciousness. It invites us to explore our own potential.
A potential far greater than we usually imagine.
So we've journeyed through Grinberg's Syntergic Theory, the mind-bending phenomena with the cheetah, and those practical steps for unlocking a super genius mind. It pushes boundaries, science, consciousness, possibility.
And offers a map, not just theory, but a practical map for transformation, for a deeper understanding of reality.
So the final thought for you, listening. If Grinberg is right, if reality is a fluid projection of consciousness, and you have the capacity to shape it, what responsibility does that give you? How will you tune your own mind? What reality will you choose to experience? What power lies untapped in your perception, and what extraordinary realities are waiting for you to unfold them?
You've been listening to The Inner Ascent, where growth begins from within. If today's reflection resonated with you, consider sharing it or revisiting it later. Until next time, stay aware, stay curious, and keep rising.